All right, today we are going to be looking at auditing login failures. And there are several ways to do this. So we are going to be looking at what is one way to audit login failures, and we are going to be looking at auditing login failures with the SQL Server error log. So let's look at reading the error log, and I am going to actually quickly skip to the last slide here, and we are going to look at how we're specifying the parameters here in this case. So the first parameter is specifying whether it is the most recent or not most recent. In this case, 0 is the most recent, so I want to look at the most recent error log. 1 is the SQL Server error log. 2 would be the SQL agent log. This is what I actually want to check in terms of auditing. And then, of course, the next two parameters in this case, when we're using the stored procedure SP read error log, are going to be text filters. So let's look at this. You'll see that I'm looking at the most recent error log. You'll see that I am looking at the SQL Server error log, and in this case, the filter that I'm using, again, I'm only using one filter, is Hacker Delight. So I happen to know that there's a user that was attempting to hack in called Hacker Delight, right? Now, keep in mind that normally, though, when we're auditing a login failure, we're going to be looking for login failed for user. So this is actually, or login failed, I should say, for. So this is actually a better way to do it, would be to login failed for. The reason is because in this case, we're looking for a specific user. In this case, we're looking for where there's any login failure, okay? So, of course, obviously, one of the most popular things is going to be, well, how do we filter that, right? Because if we look at this, we're just reading it from a stored procedure, right? But we can't filter on that, or we can't do counts on that. And so one of the ways we can do a count on this is we can actually create a table, insert the data into the table, and then perform a count, which is what we're going to do here. You'll see I'm creating this log table. I'm inserting the results of the stored procedure here, and then, of course, I'm doing a count, and I'm doing in the last 10 minutes. So that is an example of course, auditing a login failure where we're doing this count. This is not the only way. There are many other ways to do this, but this is one where we're using the SP read error log. And then, of course, keep in mind that if you're doing this, you're going to make sure that you want to read the most recent one. More than likely, you're doing some type of audit where it's the most recent event. So you're going to want to use the most recent log. You want to make sure you're using the SQL Server error log. And then, of course, you want to filter appropriately. More than likely, it's going to have to do with the login failed.